Well, hello and welcome, everybody. This is your host, KenDFoster. Welcome to another great adventure in Voices of Courage as I take you down a path today to really open up some of the, what I want to say, areas that you might be a little shut down. Today we're going to talk about generating more happiness in your life, more joy in your life. Anybody need that? I'm hoping you said yeah, because I think we all do. And there's a lot of folks on the planet, maybe you know some intimately, that are lonely. They feel like they're just disconnected from life. Well, I've studied the human mind for many, many years, my own life as an experiment. And I can tell you this, loneliness is a spiritual disease. It's a place just as lack of purpose, or maybe you're in a place of just a critical thinking all the time. You've really disconnected from yourself, from that place within yourself that we all have. Some call it the divine mind, some call it the superconscious mind, some call it the soul, some call it the Buddha, the Buddhi mind. It's that self inside of ourself, right? Outside of the physical realm, where we connect and we let go of thinking that we are this body or this mind or this life. We start to connect deeper with the source of joy and happiness that lies within us, right? Okay. So now, how does this tie into the show today? Well, if you've ever wondered where your soulmate is, or maybe you have a friend that's still searching, where's my soulmate? Where am I? Well, I want to say this. Of course, you have to do some work around this, okay, to find that right partner. It doesn't just magically show up. But if you do a little of the work, in fact, it reminds me of a story of my own life. There was a teacher by the name of Barbara Deangeles. Maybe you've heard of her. If you haven't, she does brilliant work around relationship. And Barbara challenged me to, I just come out of a relationship, and she challenged me to write a help wanted ad for this, for what I didn't want in relationship. What I didn't want, not what I wanted. And I thought, that's interesting. So I wrote down, must be self-centered, must be angry most of the time, must be connected to their friends and doesn't pay much attention to me, things like that, right? And I wrote this list out. And at the end of it, I'd realized what I was attracting in my life. And I thought, I'm going to write the opposite of that. And because this is what I really want. And those kinds of exercises help us get connected with who we are and what we're about and what we want. Again, how does this tie into the show? Well, I am so excited today because I have a guest that's done a lot of his work, and he's a brilliant entrepreneur, spiritual entrepreneur, I want to call him, that has created an app that will help you connect with yourself, with others. You can date on this app. You can play with people, have fun on this app. It's an app like you haven't seen before. So I hope you'll stay tuned to this interview, and I'll be right back with my guest.
If you or someone you love has developed Parkinson's disease after being exposed to gramoxone or any herbicide containing the deadly chemical paraquat, you may be entitled to financial compensation. If you developed Parkinson's and worked or lived on a farm that used paraquat herbicide treatments with gramoxone, Firestorm, or any listed brand, call now. you may be entitled to financial compensation. There are time deadlines, so don't delay. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
800-771-3380.
Hi, folks. Medicare Part C plans with extra benefits like getting money added back to your Social Security check may now be available to you in your zip code. Make sure you're not missing out. It's simple. 1, call the number on your screen. 2, they'll look up your zip code and see if you're eligible. 3, they'll check for plans with extra benefits like prescriptions, dental coverage, and the benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every single month. Call now.
I called to get everything I deserve.
I called to check my zip code for a plan with a benefit that adds money back to my Social Security check.
I called to check my zip code.
Millions of people have called the Medicare Coverage Helpline. Call, check your zip code, see if you're eligible, and get what you deserve. Call now.
Call 1-800-374-2308. That's 1-800-374-2308 now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is KenDFoster again, and my guest is Greg Nimer. Greg, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I'm really wonderful to be here.
You know, it's really wonderful to have you. And, you know, so many people do struggle, you know, with connecting with loneliness. I'm glad you found a way to help people overcome that. Let me give you a formal introduction, some of your background here. For those of you who don't know Greg is the founder and CEO of Sparkles, an upcoming free relationship making app and game-changing experience where people meet virtually and get to know each other without the pressure of meeting live. He has 20 plus years in leadership in consumer products, e-commerce, business development, design, and distribution. And he wants to guide people in showing their true selves through icebreakers and video features to build genuine connections. That's what got me to get you on this show, genuine connections. Greg, what inspired you to create this?
You know, thank you. This has been a journey for me. So I'll tell you, my entire career, the last 30 years, has been finding ways to help people connect with who they are, to get a sense. You know, it's learning to love yourself. Project of mine, Sparks, it came about as I started looking at what's happening in the world that we live in today. And some interesting statistics. If you look at adults under the age of 30, statistically, over 70% of them express feelings of loneliness. And according to the studies, 20% of Gen Z tell us they don't have a single friend. And, you know, those are pretty dramatic numbers. And I saw those and I started looking at what's going on in the world and how people are meeting each other, and what has changed, what's causing this loneliness. And I came to the conclusion, and I'm not an expert in this field, but I started looking at things and I came to the conclusion that a lot of it had to do with the mechanisms people have today to meet each other. Back before the internet, people met in a more organic fashion. You met through a church function, a school function, a social function. You met out in the world. You were usually with people and you met someone that was there. And that is how relationships started. You know, today, the primary mechanism people use to meet each other are apps oriented towards dating. What's interesting, as over the last 20 years, as the way people meet has shifted from out in the world to online, the number of people actually meeting has, and forming a long-term commitment, has halved. Right. That's dramatic. Right. Less than half of right now, less than 40% of people under 30 are in a committed relationship.
Wow.
To me, that was, you know, it woke me up. And I started looking at why. I started looking at the dating apps that were out there. And I want to point out, Sparks is not a dating app. It's an app to get to know people who live around you. Now, if you want to date, that's great. If you're married and looking for a friend, you can use it for that too. But I started looking at what was out there. And what I realized is all of the apps, although they're different in one way or another, they're all the same. They're all a mechanism to create a blind date. Now, I never had luck with blind dates. Okay. It just never worked for me. The person was never who I wanted them to be, I guess.
No, I can affirm that. Yeah, that was not a core strength for me, man, on blind dates. Yeah.
But that's what the apps that are out there essentially are. Most of them you can scroll or you can swipe, but you do know that the picture that you're looking at is not actually them. It's been enhanced or altered. But you go along anyway and you try to meet them. The industry is ripe with ghosting and catfishing, and there's a reason for that. If you're not actually who you're presenting yourself to be, you probably don't want to actually meet the person in real life. And so I looked at this and I said, okay, what's the solution? I focused my attention on adults under 30 initially, because what we found is they're the ones that are experiencing the most dramatic increase in loneliness. And to me, that was crucial. I wanted to look at that market. So I started looking at how it is they meet versus how it is people used to meet. And I asked the question, how do you create an app that would mimic the old-fashioned organic experience of meeting someone slowly over time? And so we created Sparks as a way to mimic that experience.
How is that? How do we mimic it?
Okay, so in the beginning, if you open the app once you've signed up.
By the way, listen, I got to go to a quick commercial here. I got to pay the bills. So we'll talk about how we mimic that as soon as we get back. We'll be right back.
Super.
Are you being audited, and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
If you or someone you love has developed Parkinson's disease after being exposed to gramoxone or any herbicide containing the deadly chemical paraquat, you may be entitled to financial compensation. If you developed Parkinson's and worked or lived on a farm that used paraquat herbicide treatments with gramoxone, Firestorm, or any listed brand, call now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. There are time deadlines, so don't delay. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
800-771-3380.
CBD, you've heard about it. It's helping people relieve chronic pain, improve sleep, and reduce stress. But how do you find science-based products that feel right for you? Feel Good Hemp was started after the founders used CBD oil to help their dad heal from a 3-month-to-live diagnosis. They deliver all-natural, lab-tested, high-quality products at affordable prices. So visit feelgoodhemp.org/courage and be sure to use coupon code COURAGE25 to get 25% off your first order.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get Nano's revolutionary technology for just $397. Don't be fooled by higher-priced hearing aids. The CIC Recharge is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. Call now and get not one but 2 Nano hearing aids for just $397. Plus, we'll add a portable charging dock and ship your order absolutely free. The CIC Recharge has a tiny in-the-ear canal design that is nearly invisible. Why keep missing out on important conversations or waste thousands of dollars? Call and get 2 CIC Recharge hearing aids for only $397 and free shipping.
800-817-7419. Again, 800-817-7419.
All right. So today we're talking about, in fact, I named the show The Courage to Date Now, right? Well, we're not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to date after I listen to Greg, but so you can pay attention. Maybe it's the courage to find a friend, a really quality friend now. That's kind of cool too. All right, let me get back into this. So we were talking about the, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
We were talking about how people used to meet in a more organic way versus how they meet today online.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
Okay, so what we did with Sparks is we created a platform. So when you log on to the app, there's a feed. It looks a lot like Instagram. You scroll. To me, that's like walking down a street. You see people. Now, in a traditional dating app, a lot of them you swipe. I've never been the kind of person that walked up to someone and said, yes, no, next person, yes, no. It's not really how life works. So we created a feed. You can scroll through it. If you see someone interesting, you can send them a spark. It's like a wink or a smile. Nothing serious. It's just, hey, hi, you're cute, or you're interesting in some way. And that's our feed. Okay. Now, the heart of the app, and this is something that you just have to see it to experience it. The heart of the app is a game system. So in the game system, a group of 7, anywhere from 5 to 7 people can come together who don't know each other and play a game. Now, the first game we launched is a game everyone knows. It's called Truth or Dare. All right. Now, hopefully you're playing with people that live around you and generally match your age preferences. And you enter the game and you answer questions. And we did it this way because what we find is that people who don't know each other tend to have a little bit of difficulty in starting a conversation. However, if they're giving questions to ask, they can answer those. The fact that it's truth or dare allowed us to ask questions that would enable people to get to know you. So the idea is you come in the game.
Who comes up? Does the app have the questions, or you have to come up with the questions?
The app completely guides you. Okay. So you pick truth or dare. When you do that, the games are hosted. The host will be given 3 questions. They are 3 truths or 3 dares. They select that one, and then that is sent to you, and then you get to answer it.
Wow, that sounds like fun, actually.
It's hilarious. What happens is people's barriers come down. They get into answering the question. They forget that they're talking to people they don't know. 15 minutes later, they actually start knowing people.
That's cool. So okay. So can you pick who you want to connect with in the game? So you pick so hopefully you pick somebody, let's say that's local to you. They have a profile that you go, yeah, that's kind of somebody I'd like to get to know. And then you start out, you might wink with them, is what I heard, a sparkle. And then the next thing is you might invite them, or they get invited to the Truth or Dare game. Is that what we're doing?
That is exactly what happens. So as you scroll the feed and you spark with people, you say, hey, cute, nice. You send them sparks. As soon as you go to host a game or indicate you want to be in a game, the app will send everyone you've done that to a notification that you're about to be in a game and ask them if they want to come play with you. Now, you have ultimate authority. So when people start coming into the game, you can select yes or no. So you don't have to let people in that you're afraid of or that you don't want in the game.
Okay.
All right. So you have the control over the game. And then when the game starts, it's a 15 or 20 minute game. So it's not a long commitment. But I promise you, you will end the game having laughed, having gotten to know people. And even if it's no one you actually want to meet in real life, you had fun.
That's pretty cool. It's interesting. I was working with the homeless a while back, and I asked one of the homeless directors in San Diego, I said, what causes homelessness? And, most of us would answer, drugs or alcohol or mental illness. She didn't answer that. No. She said, what causes homelessness is disconnection from friends and society.
Right.
Interesting.
I agree.
So this
with
app is a really cool app because it's really connecting people in a place where they're safe and they can play and have some fun, is what I'm hearing.
And Ken, if you think about it today, you know this already. 80% of everyone under 30 is on social apps. There are some very popular ones. I won't name names, but they're very popular. Everybody's on them. They're mechanisms to look at how other people pretend to live their life, but they're really not about socializing. They're not about connecting. You know, people create these profiles, these personas that for the most part, they're not real personas.
Yeah.
But they make people think that everyone else in the world lives differently than they do.
Yeah.
And it creates isolationism. It creates this, I'm afraid to go out because I can't live up to that standard.
Absolutely. I got to take a break again. We come back though. I'd like to discuss that a little deeper. How do we find authentic, true connections? Right?
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now for this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers. This free book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies that will help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. Call right now for your free book, and as a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. Both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-510-0470.
Attention Zantac users. The FDA requested manufacturers to pull Zantac off the market, noting exposure to unacceptable levels of a cancer-causing agent. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with cancer after regular use of Zantac, you might be entitled to financial compensation. If you have any of these cancers, time is critical. Call now for a free consultation. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-797-7641.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life, and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need KenDFoster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Well, I'm talking to Greg Nimer. He is the creator of a new app. We're going to put that up on the screen right now, by the way. Okay, so we might have to move over a little bit. It's called Sparkles, right? Okay, that's pretty cool. And we're talking a little bit about how do we create authentic, true, real connections, not fake connections where people are putting their profiles up and they pretend to be something they're not. And you go on some of these other apps, and if you don't have really strong self-esteem, you got all these people with their egos out there. And you're like, gosh, I'm less than that. I'm less than that. I'm less than that. But it's not true. Everybody's, putting their pants on the same way. We just got to find the right connection for you. So, Greg, okay, how do we find these authentic, real connections?
Well, that's the thing. If you look at social apps and the way they exist today, they do strongly encourage people to create a persona that's an ideal persona and not a real persona. And what we did with Sparks is we said, let's bring the real person. The app, it's about real people, real connections, and real fun. It's going to a party and sitting down and playing a game with a half a dozen people you don't know. Through the game, you get to know them slowly, but genuinely. You don't fall in love with a picture that they've enhanced. You fall in love with the way they blush, the way they answered that question, their quirky laugh. You fall in love, or you fall in like with the real person, not a persona.
Well, that just makes so much sense. Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing you say is the app really mirrors reality a lot closer than some of the other apps that are out there. And, you really have nothing to lose with it. Go in and have some fun. And who knows, you might even connect to the right person for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think people are really kind of over, feigned, what I want to say, descriptions of them, of others, that they connect with them and all of a sudden they're not the real deal. They're, they've got a lot of baggage, they've got a lot of issues, and now you spent time on some of these other apps getting to know people without really knowing them. Because I agree with you. You have to interact, you have to engage with people in a way to really get to know who they are.
You actually do. It's interesting. If you go to meet someone and you only know them from a picture and a few chats, there's a really strong possibility that you've already created in your imagination the ideal of who this person is. When you actually meet them, they're never going to match the ideal that you created. And so there's a disconnect right from the beginning. With Sparks, you actually get to know the real person because you're sitting there playing a game live on video with them. So if you ever do meet them, you already have commonality. You've already spent time communicating with them.
I love this, Greg. Well, listen, I put on the screen here where people can go to at least check out the app, www.sparks, SPARKZE.app. And also, I just went on to the iTunes store and downloaded it. So it's right there. I typed in Sparks, and there it was. So we can get it there. Go. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, final thoughts, man. Final thoughts here.
Well, the app is fun. What I'm going to say is you don't have to look for someone to date. The feed, it's localized. So the people you see live around you. Hey, log on and get to meet your neighbors.
I love it. I love it. All right, Greg, thank you so much for being part of the show today. I really appreciate you, man. That was fun. All right, for all of you that continue to listen to us, I hope you will continue to tell your family, tell your friends, tell all those that you love about the Voice of Courage show. I mean, we are now in 185 countries. We're on TV and podcast and radio all over the place. And why is that? Well, I believe that people want authenticity. They want real, they want connection, and they want to know who are the people out there that have the real wisdom. These are realized people, right? Now, they're not fake people that are trying to give you advice that you don't, you're going to follow, and it's the blind leading the blind. I bring only realized guests on, people that have done their own works and created products and services for you so that you can really grow your business, grow your life, grow all about you. So I hope you'll continue to watch, and from my heart to yours, continue to look for and search for the unseeable and know the unknowable, and then do the impossible. Take care.